Yup.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on?
D-Nail, nigga.
America.
For all my niggas on the block. Hell yeah.
Y'all know who it is. It's Sue.
You know them cops out there watching.
Nigga D-Nail holding
Bitches out there
fucking down.
jacking.
The way I love it.
Niggas out there robbing, popping niggas. Hold up.
We gonna see the team.
They be watching. Cops, why all pay attention?
They be watching.
Niggas on the block is trying to get you. They be watching. Remember that one bitch you just
Yo, what's up, good people? This is Hawggy in the place to be, representing live and exclusively right here on Ribshack TV. And this is Hawg's Hip Hop Haulin, episode 2. That's right. Tonight we're going to talk about my top 5 personal MCs, you know what I mean? And after we get into it, man, you guys really recognize what era I really gravitate to when it comes down to hip hop. But first, the job at hand is going to be to pick up some heavy equipment from a company called Bitumen out of Las Cruces, New Mexico, and we're going to take it to Raton. Yeah, I drove into Las Cruces maybe a couple days ago, took a rest here, and I've never been here before, y'all, so this is going to be quite interesting. But it ain't no thing. We'll just make a night of it and talk about some hip hop, man. You know, so I mean, honestly, let's just get to it. I'm middle-aged, so you know, I look at hip hop a little bit different, man, than a lot of people might. And I don't know, to be honest, man. These guys that I'm gonna talk about here, they really motivated me. That's all I'll say. I'll just keep it there. So basically, you guys know how these countdown things go. You count down to number 1. So we got about 400 miles to go on this trip, and we'll start this off right and properly. So number 5 on the list for me is gonna be a young fella by the name of Dennis Coles. Gucci robes, staying in the latest fashion, you understand? This is Ghostface Killer, comes in at number 5 for me. And to be quite honest, man, this guy, his whole groove to me is most impressive, basically because of his longevity. He makes so many darn albums, I cannot keep up. Oh man, speaking of keeping up, come on, Audi, get out of the way. Come on. There you go. Thank you. Excuse me. Gee. All right. Anyway, man, I also have to say that the Wu-Tang Clan is my absolute most favorite hip-hop group that there is. You know, man, these guys are amazing to me. That might be because I'm a little bit older, and especially going back and listen to them, you know, Ghostface, Raekwon, You God, a whole lot of them. But I don't know, for some reason, Ghostface really stuck out to me, man. He is something amazing. And I don't know if you keep up with the local news of hip hop, but that has a lot to do with his beef with Action Bronson, my bad. To be specific, man, Action Bronson, his flow is very, very, very similar to Ghostface's, and it's easy to see because, well, Ghostface has a very original flow. He doesn't really flow like other guys, man. His groove is completely different, and you know, he's got so many rhymes. You know, I don't think he's too sane. Nah, but for real, he's got so many rhymes. I saw a video when he was talking about the beef with Action Bronson, and it was along the lines of, I had no idea I wrote that rhyme. Well, you know, you didn't, I did, and that's what Action Bronson said. And he also said that he highly respected the guy and everything. And then it kind of turned south when Action Bronson basically kind of claimed the style for his own, you know. And I mean, that's neither here nor there. That's not what I'm here to talk about. My top five. I mean, the hip hop beef. We could be riding from here to New Jersey and talk about hip hop beef, man. That's just how hip hop works. But anyway, um, yeah, definitely Ghostface Killer comes in at number five for me, man. His flow and content and longevity are just unsurpassed, quite frankly, when you put them all together. That guy is very nasty on the mic. Definitely a big inspiration for me to start writing rhymes and actually recording and all that good stuff. But anyway, forget it. And no, I'm not in my own top five. I'm not that arrogant. And honestly, I do it for fun. You know, it makes me wonder how many professional MCs actually still do it for fun. Who knows? But I do it as that. I don't really get into the competition when it comes down to me. So whatever. All right. So enough about that. Number 4 on my list is gonna be none other than Christopher Wallace. That's right, Biggie Smalls, man. Biggie is, I mean, his imagination and his lyrical content and the fact that, we just talked about Ghostface and his longevity. The big thing with Biggie is the fact that he wasn't even around that long to do a lot of music. I mean, he really wasn't. If you want to be honest about it, the guy was only around for 2 of his own LPs, and that's, well, I mean, unless you count Junior Mafia, but that is just amazing because the guy was just simply a lyricist. And there's no debating that. I mean, Puffy found somebody who could really do his thing, man. And what is interesting about it is that Biggie has a lisp, bro. That is interesting. It makes him different. I remember Kool G Rap, back in the day, he had a lisp too, and it makes for a different flow. I'm just saying. But man, if Big, just imagine if Biggie was able to do his thing for maybe 10 more years than he did. That guy, I don't know, man. I mean, I think he would have made such a large impact. And I have to say, I'm rating these MCs based on what kind of impact they had upon me, but make no mistake, every single MC that I bring up this evening, you've heard of them before, especially if you're a hip hop fan. You heard of them before. Not really a big surprise, considering that you see the gray hair, I'm middle-aged, all that good stuff. You heard of these guys before. So, whatever. Anyway, Biggie and the Junior Mafia, especially Lil Kim, Lil C's, he put together a pretty nice group too, and that's not easy to do. I mean, I know a lot of people just think, hey, you just get in the studio, you throw on a beat, you rhyme with your friends, you press record, and you just step off, and that's it. And nah, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that at all. Especially if you've known each other for a while. I touched on this on my first Hip Hop Haulin video, man. Seriously, making music and working together and do something creative with your friends or your family can be something extremely complicated. Sometimes it's actually, in my opinion, more simple to do it with people that you don't necessarily know so well. I don't know. I mean, that's just in my experience. And I've been doing it since '01. So it is what it is. But I do have to say, he put together a nice little power group. I think some of the members were able to be moderately successful on solo projects throughout their careers. Junior Mafia, I'm talking about here. But yeah, good stuff. Biggie was awesome. Represented Bed-Stuy. As if you didn't know. Thus far, we're tapping on New York here, which is the origination of hip hop, with the Sugar Hill Gang and a lot of different cats out of there, and Ghostface is from Staten Island. All right, so definitely not to neglect any other areas in the northeastern part of the country. Number 3 on our list is none other than Nasir Jones, and that's going to be Nasty Nas. Now, I'll say this: he's definitely a polarizing artist. Honestly, I think that people who make hip hop, who may not even like the guy, who may not even like his groove, who may not like his music, who didn't take his side during the Nas and Jay-Z beef. They might not like him, but I don't think they're going to be able to deny his impact on hip hop. The first jam I heard of this cat was back in 91, 92, something like that. It was The World Is Yours. You know, that was back when Rap City was still a thing. Anyway, I was checking dude out, and he seemed a little bit typical, one might say, but upon listening to the Illmatic album, which was his freshman album, as people say, like you in college or something, his first album, whatever. His first album was intricately deep, and it just got deeper from there. Even if you weren't able to, you know, appreciate a lot of the stuff that came later. And of course, I mean, both of these guys are still active that I mentioned previously. You know, so, I mean, it's not like he's running out of material. As a matter of fact, you know, like Kid said, I got so many rhymes, I don't think I'm too saying. So there you have it, you know what I mean? I mean, Nas is, and you know what else, like, you know, we were talking earlier about Biggie's lisp, right? Oh, how you doing, Electric Skateboard? What's up? Nice to join us, man. But anyway, I was talking earlier about Notorious Big's lisp, right? And the thing about Nas, man, if you never really pay attention to it, Nas is monotone. I mean, every rhyme he says is basically in the same type of tone. You know, that's how we do it when he get on the microphone. That's Nas's style, more or less. But his content is so freaking strong that doesn't even matter. It has nothing to do with how hot Kid is, man. I mean, the things that, well, not necessarily the things that he says, it's just how he describes them to the audience, to the you know, to the listener. It can put you in that spot. He's a very descriptive lyricist. So it doesn't necessarily matter whether he's monotone or not. His content makes up for his lack of delivery, I guess. These are the buzzwords for everybody who decides to judge hip hop. You know, his content is, I mean, 9.5 out of 10, in my opinion. I put him at number 3 for that reason, and also his longevity. Like I said, Nas is still active to my knowledge. Even if he's not, he's got a heck of a lot more than a handful of rhymes. So, you know, I know Ghost is still active, and of course Notorious Big, obviously not. You know, everybody knows the story on that. But what I'm saying is, you have to take into account that these guys go through changes, album for album, and a lot of people may not appreciate each and every album. A lot of the time, these guys go wood, and I really think that's because the media and you know, I mean, not to be all conspiracy with it, but I think there's definitely a priority when it comes down to music that is distributed widely. And it's definitely the younger demographic, which means you're dealing with the younger artists. And every single person that I've named off is older than I am. And like I said, I'm middle-aged, like right in the middle, like 40 in the middle. So, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where they might be active, but you might not know it. You know, unless you really go searching, or you plug in that preferred artist in Pandora or whatever. I mean, you know, it's just one of those things. But I'll be honest with you, man, I don't pay attention to mainstream hip hop really very much at all. And when I do, it's just, you know, in somebody's car listening to the radio, or maybe sometimes I'll pop on the radio, like literally the radio, and listen to whatever's coming out of the mainstream. And I mean, none of those people are 30, whatever, and we're talking about cats who are 45 if they're still around, or you know, maybe a little bit older than that, younger than that, whatever, give or take, you know, 40, 45, a little bit older than me. But going back and listening to Nas's material, it definitely shows a real man, just profound lyricist, I guess. So maybe that's why he scored at number 3. All right, so 400 miles to go from the start, and we're down to 263. So what we're gonna do at this point in the show, we're almost right in the middle there. Yeah, we are with Nas. We're gonna do our trivia question. Now, come on, man, don't cheat and look it up. Just like for real, guess. I just want to know what you think. So guess this question, right? Out of all of the artists thus far that or groups, basically acts, who describe themselves as hip hop artists, how many platinum albums have they earned? Meaning, out of all the artists who do hip hop, how many platinums are floating around? Huh? Give it a guess. All right, and we will be right back after these messages. But for real, don't look it up, man. Just guess. Seriously.
Ribshack TV is brought to you by
Alright, we'll be right back. Oh man, it is a pain in the butt trying to juggle these scenes and drive at the same time. But anyway, dig this, right? Y'all got the question, right? Well, I'll repeat it again. How many acts who identify themselves as hip-hop artists have earned themselves platinum albums, which means officially they've sold 1 million copies of said album? How many do you think? Alright, I'll tell you. As of, I don't know, maybe a month ago when I looked this up, 138. That's right, 138 acts who describe themselves as hip-hop have earned themselves platinum albums. Sold 1 million. That's a lot. I would tell you how many albums I sold, but I don't want to be embarrassed. But yeah, the point is that hip-hop is big business. It is very, very big business, which means it's definitely going to change. That's how all big business does, right? Think about it. Telecommunications, all of that kind of stuff. Anything that's really big, even if it's just in the entertainment realm, right? It changes. That's why when you talk about art, right? You got different eras of art, right? Different ages, whatever. Well, that's exactly what this is. It's art. So, I don't know what you would call this age, but it's a different age than what I'm talking about here, because this is where I grew up in. Anyway, forget all that. Let's go to my number 2 of the top 5 MCs, and that would be Antonio Hardy. Yeah, I know you don't know who that is. Right? It's Big Daddy Kane. Man, Big Daddy Kane is one of those rappers, bro. If you ever go back and listen, like you have to put everything in context. Back in '89, Big Daddy Kane was rhyming like nobody else. And I know, people, well, he didn't sound like anybody else. Well, of course, nobody sounds like anybody else, but the way that Big Daddy Kane was flipping his rhymes with the speed, with the preciseness, with the content, and he wasn't bad. He wasn't bad at all, man. A lot of people have actually done jams with him, including Busta Rhymes, especially Biz Markie, that's who put him on, yada, yada, yada. But Big Daddy Kane was one of the guys that actually made me start to recognize that there are different facets to hip-hop. I think I didn't really understand what delivery meant until I was listening to Big Daddy Kane back when I was a teenager, early teenager. And to be honest, he was one of those artists that really made me think that I would be able to rhyme, because I could spit Duke's rhymes, man. Straight up, I could spit Big Daddy Kane's rhymes like it was nothing, and it gave me a type of confidence, to think, wow, I can actually do this if I write my own stuff, right? If I really come up with my own thing, I mean, a lot of people take inspiration from their heroes in a different way. And for me, like I said, it was because I was very good at imitating him. And I mean, obviously not the writing content back then. I mean, I was a teenager. What was I gonna talk about? Probably video games. And that wasn't very popular until Weird Al started doing that kind of stuff. But for real, I just took to him extremely different. He was he had much flavor. He was the kind of guy like you know what? Big Daddy Kane to me was kind of like Shaft was to like my dad. Like older era 70s type of stuff. He was my 80s hero basically. And the real reason because of that is because dude was actually cast in a movie. I mean, like a big time budget movie. He was in this movie called Posse. And I mean, who doesn't want to act, right? Who doesn't want to be an actor? That would be kind of fly. And this dude could really rip the mic, and he wasn't too bad at acting either. Actually, he still does it. He was in some movie with Keanu Reeves recently. I didn't watch it, but I know he was up in there. But anyway, Big Daddy Kane was extremely special to me, man. He was one of the artists that actually made me feel like I could rhyme, just as long as I was able to write, some worthy content. He made me feel like I could do something. But anyway, that brings me back to brings me up to the number 1 spot, and this is probably not going to be a surprise to too many people. My favorite MC by all means, without a doubt, is Tupac Shakur. And it's really typical for somebody of my age to say that, but I gotta tell you, man, I think I survived like a couple years of my life listening to just Tupac and DMX after Tupac had passed and when DMX was at a certain level of his career. But yeah, Tupac, especially when he started to really experience life as a 20-year-old, when he actually got a heck of a lot older, his lyrical content changed drastically, and the content that he would use and the context and all of that, man, it made me feel like I was growing up with him. I was able to see the changes that he went through while he was going through what he was going through, and everybody does that, right? I mean, to be honest, man, the thing that makes me gravitate to this kind of stuff is I'll be sitting there listening, to my jams and everything, and it's crazy, dude. These guys will say stuff that I mean, it might not apply to everybody, but a lot of the times it applies to me. I couldn't tell you how well you identify with what these specific 5 rappers that I've listed out, I couldn't tell you how they affect you, but they affected me greatly one way or another. If it wasn't to inspire me to be able to rhyme, it was how to deal with normal social situations in this country, United States. I mean, I don't know. I mean, their content, when you put them all together, Tupac, Big Daddy Kane, Nas, Biggie, Ghost, when you put them all together, they were able to speak for a large group of youth that were throughout the entire country. Now, I mean, I got to give it up. Every single artist I named off is they originated from New York City, but that doesn't mean very much. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are on my runner-up list, but we don't have time to get into all that. Like I said, we'll be driving to North Carolina if I want to talk about all the rappers that I actually do like. But these are the guys that really, really affected my love for hip-hop and my motivation to do hip-hop, if that makes any sense. So I figure I'll share that with the audience. I mean, it is what it is, man. I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of different opinions, but I'm also sure that a lot of people that grew up when I grew up and listened to what I listened to, they'll probably agree with me. I'm pretty sure that they would shift a lot of those names around, and I can completely understand that. This is just an expose of how I see things. So, there it is. I mean, to be completely honest with you, man, across all of the songs that I've ever made, across all of the rhymes that I've ever written, these 5 guys have, sorry, brother, you can get over it. These 5 guys have affected my my lyrical content, or my delivery, or my approach to writing. Without a doubt, they have affected it one way or another across the board. I mean, I am literally a product of the hip hop that I love when it comes down to being an artist. So, and being an artist, I mean, to be honest with you, when you cook, you look at cooking different, right? Well, when you rhyme, you look at rhyming different. A lot of people ask me a lot of questions about how I feel about certain artists, and I'll tell them the truth, and then I'll actually say why I feel the way that I feel, and sometimes it just goes right over the dome, but that's because they don't look at it the way I look at it. They don't rhyme too. When you rhyme, you pay attention to other MCs' rhymes a heck of a lot more intently. And I'll tell you what, man, I mean, I know I don't have that much time to mention runners-up or anything. I'm only 40 miles from the drop-off, but I'll tell you this. One of the best freestyle MCs I've ever heard is Eminem. And he's definitely one of the really, really good lyricists that I've heard, man. I have to admit, I slept on the guy at first because I was wrapped up in writing my own stuff at the time. But when I went back and listened to some of Marshall Mathers, man, I mean, okay, I think I'm gonna have to give up at least a runner-up to the top 5, and that would be him. His delivery is astounding. I mean, absolutely astounding. This cat from 8 Mile is a monster. And I don't know, man. I just love good music, man. I love good music, and he definitely makes good music. I'll tell you that. I'm not, the biggest fan. Like I said, if I'm putting him at a runner-up to these top 5, but heck, these top 5 probably inspired Eminem. I mean, they was definitely around when he popped up on the scene. So, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that, man. You just passing the torch. Whatever. But I'll definitely put him up there pretty high, man. He is slick. He's a beast. Oh wow, somebody got speeding tonight. Maybe that's a DUI. All right, we got 10 miles to go, so we can drop off this Digger 500. Rode through Nevada at night. And man, look at that. I mean, it's all desert, right? Anybody see a tree back there? I saw some mountains. See if we can get this stuff dropped off without an incident, y'all. Oh yeah, so there it is, man. Thanks for listening to my rant about, you know, my top 5 MCs. I mean, no matter how hip-hop changes or evolves or revolves or whatever, I'm still gonna love it to death. I couldn't tell you that my top 5 list isn't gonna change, but I can tell you it's been this way for a number of years and it hasn't changed for a while. If that means anything, you know, I mean, quite honestly, I really, crazy Camaro, what's wrong with you? I really kind of set in my ways. Whatever. The gray hair probably gives it away, but I do recognize that hip hop's an art. It's gonna change. It's all good. But yeah, that's where it is. And don't get it twisted. Just because all those guys are from New York, don't mean that I don't appreciate other places either. I mean, I honestly don't think it's not where you from or where you are from. It's how you do your thing. You know, it's simply how you do your thing, man. And I really like how them MCs do their thing. Cats are good. Real good. I'll never hope to be that good. I mean, I could try. Maybe that's the point of this whole thing, right? But it's not about reaching their level. It's about reaching mine. And I don't know. In the end, it's really about, you know, how you feel about yourself, man. I mean, you know, if you do rhyme, if you do this kind of stuff, it's how you feel about yourself. Alright, right about now. I'm feeling like parking this thing is it's a pain. So we're gonna do it the easy way. Just like that. Yep, sorry we're in a hurry. Alright, yo, this is it. Thanks for watching, man. This has been Hawg's Hip Hop Haulin episode 2. We're gonna come with some more of these, man. So appreciate it, y'all, and take it light. We out of here.